It's nice to have conversations like this because people think they know me. Hello, I'm Creaky. I make videos about conspiracy theorists and other online morons. But they don't.
You have over 500 videos now.
It's actually flat earthers' fault that I'm still doing what I do. How can anybody possibly be stupid enough to believe that the earth is flat?
Your audience as well is rather sophisticated.
And I'm kind of glad you didn't ask this question, but I will. That's an announcement from me, officially.
All right, everyone. I am here today with Creaky Blinder. Creaky, once again, it's an honor to speak with you.
No problem at all. And you say it's an honor now. We haven't had the conversation yet.
Hey, everyone. I just want to take a brief moment to thank you for checking out this video. I hope you enjoy. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more like this. I'm a new channel and really appreciate every single like and new subscriber. Also, if you're unfamiliar with Creaky, I highly recommend checking out his channel. He's one of the funniest and most entertaining YouTubers I know. Link in the description below. Lastly, I do have a few more interviews lined up, but I would love to hear your suggestions as to who I should speak with next. So please reply to the pinned comment below with your suggestions. All right, that's it. Thanks, and now back to the conversation. This may be the first time we're speaking, but I've been a fan for quite a while. You're one of the OGs on YouTube when it comes to creating content to push back on the unscientific claims that are going around the internet these past few years. The first video you mentioned, I rewatched it recently, and like you said, it is with Nathan Thompson.
It's terrible.
Well, no.
Terrible.
Your videos have obviously evolved, but that's not the point. The point is, you posed the question towards the very start.
Are flat earthers the stupidest people on the planet? Are flat earthers the stupidest people on the face of the earth?
Yeah, so yes, now my question to you. Yeah, I want to know. Let's revisit that. 5 years later, or more than 5 years later, you've had all this exposure to the community. How do you view flat earthers? And you can just expand that to conspiracy theorists in general, people who believe the moon landing was fake and so on. Are they stupid and ignorant, or is something else going on here?
No, I don't. I know I call them stupid in my videos, but that's just become part of my shtick, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think they are stupid, because some of the things they talk about, even though they're completely wrong, you need to have a certain amount of intelligence to be able to communicate in that way. So no, I don't think the average flat earther is stupid. So let's say, for argument's sake, we got 1,000 people and put them in a room, and each of those 1,000 people claim to be a flat earther. I would be willing to bet money that less than 100 of them actually believe the earth is flat. The rest of them say they believe the earth is flat because they've started, hang on a second, I said the earth is flat and now people are supporting me on Patreon or sending me money via Patreon. This is bloody great.
Yeah.
You know, and I genuinely believe that Level Earth Observer, I'm a little bit on the fence about him. Mark Sargent is not a flat earther. Flat Earth Dave does not believe the earth is flat. He's just seen a gap in the market and he's cashing in on it. Eric Dubet, again, I really don't think he believes the earth is flat. There's 500 videos on my channel. Yeah. Let's say 300 of them are about flat earth as a broad topic. Out of the people in those 300 videos, I would probably confidently guess that, like I say, less than out of the 300, maybe 20 of the people I've made videos about actually have convinced themselves that the earth is flat. But it all stems from completely misunderstanding physics.
You took the question right out of my mouth, Creaky. I don't know if you saw my interview with MC Toon, but I asked him the same question. Do flat earthers believe what they claim? And I asked him to break that down. Now, like you've kind of broken it down already between content creators who are potentially making money, right, and have formed a community around what they're saying, and their subscribers and viewers, which I think is a totally separate group. MC Toon actually classified them as t-shirt sellers and t-shirt buyers. Let me go through a few more names. You mentioned Eric Dubet, Flat Earth Dave. How about Nathan Oakley?
Nathan Oakley. Now, obviously, I can't back this up, so it's coming from me. It's just something I've heard, and I did actually hear it, but I can't find the clip anymore. But there's, he does his daily flat Earth, his flat Earth show or whatever the hell he calls it these days. Because I've not made that many videos about Nathan Oakley, to be fair. But there was actually leaked audio of him saying to Anthony Riley, "Look, I don't care if the world is shaped like a knob, as long as people keep giving me money."
Wow.
So that sentence on its own is a pretty good indicator that no, I don't think Nathan Oakley believes the Earth is flat either. For him, it's his primary source of income, and you try convincing a man or woman or anyone to completely remove their ability to earn money, it's just never going to happen.
Yeah, there's been a few flat earthers who have admitted that they acknowledged that they were wrong, and they've come clean, that they truly were believers, and just no longer are. But I think I'm in agreement with you there that Nathan is lying.
It's for him. It's purely financial. But I think the same definitely applies to Mark Sargent and Flat Earth Dave. If you think back to 3 years ago, where was Flat Earth Dave? He didn't exist. He certainly wasn't on YouTube that I was aware of. And then suddenly he becomes one of the most well-known flat earthers on the globe. Why? Because it couldn't possibly have anything to do with the fact that he wants people to buy his app. MC Toon published a video yesterday, I believe, and I nearly covered the video myself, but because it was a longer video, I kind of hadn't got round to it yet, but Mike has done it now anyway. It was the guy that went to the Flat Earth convention. So Flat Earth Dave, in MC Toon's video, he's kind of the main focus of it. So it's generating him a living. So you're never going to get people like him or Mark Sargent to admit that actually, you know what? I've just been acting silly for the last 5 years. I know the Earth isn't flat, but I was earning so much money by saying it was. Can you blame me?
Yeah, so much money, and then you become immediately ostracized, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's another interesting point about flat earthers. It's one thing to claim that you sincerely believe the Earth is flat, but I don't know if you saw Mike's video, but there was a lady in there, and she lost her husband of, I think she said, 25 years, all for the sake of arguing over something that's been an established fact since forever, almost. We learned so early in our scientific history what the actual shape of the planet was. I don't know. Part of me wants to not believe any of them, but I think some of them, even though it's a small number, genuinely have convinced themselves. Because I spoke to Ranty, after he left the flat Earth, or as I like to call it, came to his senses. And I asked him the question directly, did you really believe the Earth was flat? And he says, yes, I did. But, I'm not saying that he was lying to me, because, we actually get on quite well now, but I don't know. There's just too much potential for them to earn money by saying the Earth is flat, and money is, and I know they could argue the same applies to me, but I don't make anywhere near as much money as some of these flat earthers seem to think they do. I really, really don't. If I break down what I earn from YouTube AdSense, I'm on well below what the minimum wage is in the UK, well below.
I agree with you there. A lot of the t-shirt sellers are, in fact, disingenuous.
Yeah.
There is one, and so I want to ask you about this one last person, and then maybe a pair of flat Earth creationists and their conviction. Chris from New York.
He believes the Earth is flat.
Yeah.
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 And it's interesting because I probably have made more videos about CC than any other flat earther. And the reason I make so many videos about CC, well, there's two parts to it. One, they're very easy videos for me to make. He's one of the flat earthers. You know, I've always been as honest about this as I can. I've got no scientific qualifications. You know, I am not a physicist or a evolutionary biologist or anything like that. All the information I'm able to share in my videos, I have to go and find that information. And then once I find that information, I have to verify that information. But CC, he's very similar to, he's like the American version of Level Earth Observer. They think that they're debunking the globe, when in reality, all they ever say is, nah. and that doesn't debunk anything, which is why I've never really called myself a debunking channel, because I've always kind of referred to it as a point and laugh channel, because I'm basically just sitting down, I'm watching a video and reacting to the things they say. But if part of that reaction needs a scientific explanation, then I have to go and do that research for myself. But whereas flat earthers will just sit there, they'll type it in and go, aha, see, I knew it didn't say that. Yeah. I don't stop there. So if I find a piece of information, I then continue looking for that same information to make sure that the various reliable sources I use all agree on that particular piece of information. Like this morning, a video I'm making at the moment now, you know, we all know by now, I think, how brilliant a community this has become. And I've got a guy who's a PhD who will advise me on anything if I'm reacting to young earthers, or you know, I've got an unofficial kind of team of people that I can reach out to and say, this is what the flat earther says, this is what I think I should say to refute that. Can you check my work?
That's so good. You don't just Google and then come to your own conclusion.
Yeah. I think I have to do that, right? In part because I've always made it clear that I am not a scientist. And secondly, because if I share information, I'm not saying I never make mistakes in my videos. Of course I do. Everyone does.
Yeah.
But if I just shared what I thought was right, it may not be quite as wrong as believing that the Earth is flat, but it would make me no better than the people I make videos about. So I think it's very important, certainly for me, to verify everything I'm saying using multiple different reliable sources, so that no flat earther can ever come back and say, ha, Creaky, you said this, and that's wrong as well. So you're stupid as well. Do you know what I mean?
I 100% know what you mean. That is the difference, right? Otherwise, if not for that, what separates you from a flat earther would
exactly.
Be very little.
Yeah, exactly. And that was one thing I've always been conscious of, is I need to make sure that the information I share can be checked by anyone who wants to check it, and what they find will be what I explained in the video.
Yeah. Cool. Two more. And again, you don't make content just about flat earthers. You just challenge illogical claims in general. And that includes young earth creationists.
Yeah.
So that includes Ken Hovind and Matt Powell. So of course, any young earth creationist is making extraordinary and unscientific claims.
Yeah.
Do you believe that they believe what they say?
I don't think young earth creationists are quite as cut and dried as flat earthers. Kent Hovind and Matt Powell. Kent Hovind 100%, because he's been saying exactly the same things since probably before I was born.
Yeah.
So yes, Kent genuinely believes. Let me rephrase that.
Okay.
Kent has convinced himself by listening to other young Earth creationists that came before him that what he says he believes, he actually believes. But Kent isn't stupid. He's a million miles away from being stupid. I know I always, poke the bear by saying, your degree is only an honorary one and you got it from a shack in the desert.
Right.
I haven't got a degree, but I'm not the one making extraordinary claims. And everybody knows extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence to back them up. And he's got none at all.
Yeah.
But I think he knows that the science doesn't agree with his views, but he's become almost a caricature of himself. He spent so many years saying that the Earth is only 6,000 years old. He's managed to convince himself, and by extension, convince the people around him, especially the people that were close to him, like Matt Powell. Matt Powell is the mini-me to Kent Hovind's Dr. Evil. He's literally like a parrot sat on Kent's shoulder, just repeating everything he says verbatim.
Yeah. Well, we might disagree a little bit there. I think those two, like, I do believe young Earth creationists in the world that believe the Earth is young. Like, I 100% believe they. But when it comes to those two, I suspect that they're T-shirt sellers, and they're
yeah.
But
like I say,
I could be wrong. I've never spoken with them. So.
That's what I was going to say to you. I could be wrong. That's just the opinion I've formed by watching more hours than I would care to admit of Kent Hovind and Matt Powell speaking. But again, who's to say I'm wrong and you are right, or vice versa? It's a very difficult one to call with creationists because, there's faith involved.
Conspiracy culture seems to be on the rise, at least here in America. And you're from across the pond in the UK. What is it like over there? Is it as prevalent as it is here in America?
It's hard to say, really. Purely looking at my YouTube channel, people may assume, no, it isn't as prevalent in the UK because I make more videos about American conspiracy theorists. But the reason I make so many videos about America, think of it like this. I don't know. The UK is my finger. America is my hand. How many conspiracies can you fit in here versus how many you can fit in? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The UK is so much smaller than the States. Maybe if you were to look at percentages, maybe we have the same or a close percentage of people that buy into conspiracy theorists as you guys do over there. But because you're such a huge country, it's just easy pickings. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a really hard one to answer. That is really, really difficult. And the honest answer is I don't really know. But, we've certainly got our fair share of idiots who believe idiotic things. You've only got to look at somebody like Mark Steele. Basically, everything is a conspiracy. The street lights outside your house, the government have put 5G weapons in there, and he's been to court. He's been in prison.
Oh, true believer then.
Oh, yeah. But the funny thing is, his son, whose name I can't remember, is quite a well-known stand-up comedian in the UK, and he has completely cut himself off from his dad. And I can only guess that it's because of some of the crazy things his father's saying. But yeah, we've got plenty of conspiracy theorists. I meet people in not regularly, thankfully, but I meet people, and you're talking to them in a pub or whatever it may be, and things come up, and you just they're conspiratorially minded, and you can tell. But the problem for me is, and I think this comes from what I do on YouTube, is if, let's say for argument's sake, now you and I walk into a bar and there's another guy in there, and oh yeah, mate, how are you doing? And we start chatting, and it turns out he's a flat earther. I can't carry on speaking to him, and I will say, right, real life, I'm walking around the supermarket, Oh, I watch you on YouTube. I'm a flat earther. In the supermarket, I would say, fine, so you're a complete moron then. How can anybody possibly be stupid enough to believe that the earth is flat? So YouTube has spilled over into my real life, and
Yeah.
I've always had a big mouth.
You led me right into my next question, which was about real life, and
Yeah.
if you've actually had any friends or family members.
Not,
You know,
no.
that's a big problem over here for many of us.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. To me, I think if it ever did happen to me, and if I ever felt the need to try and, I don't know if convince would be the right word to use, but if I ever found myself in a situation where I had to convince somebody that we'll say the earth isn't flat, I think the best advice I could give is like a two-pronged approach. First of all, ask them why, what is the benefit of, the whole world lying, where only a small group of select people have the real knowledge about the shape of the earth. And, maybe that would get them thinking, but I'm not convinced it would, because they probably already think like that, and they feel special because they think they have this secret knowledge that nobody else does. But the other thing is, and again, this comes down to how well you understand the topic yourself, and I'm learning all the time, but trying to explain to them. So, if somebody says, "Oh, yeah, the Earth is definitely flat," if I could resist the urge to call them an idiot, I would be trying to explain to them, but how do you explain this, which simply doesn't work on a flat, tides and ships disappearing from the bottom up, they all, I know they all scream, "Oh yeah, but that's just, you can zoom it back in," but you can only zoom it back in if it hasn't gone over the horizon yet. And MC Toon said this in his video I watched yesterday. And Flat Earth Dave always uses that example, but he uses it in a disingenuous way. He will always show pictures of really small sailboats that, that you and I may, let's go out on the boat today, and it would be a little sailboat, and we'd go out, have some beers, have some fun, and then come back. But he'll never show, a huge cargo ship that you can't zoom back in because it's definitely gone over the horizon, and it's too big to not be able to see even, I think it's on average about 3 miles away the horizon, something around there, if I remember correctly. But those vessels are big enough to still be able to see, minus the bottom of them, which has disappeared. So it's just having certain arguments or certain examples that you can share with these people that would hopefully give them something other than flat Earth to think about.
Yeah, I mean, look, you, Simon, Dan, FTFE, MC Toon, the list goes on. You guys do a great job of that, giving them good logical challenges to the claims that the flat earthers and other conspiracy theorists make. A couple more questions for you. I've asked this to both John Michael Godier and MC Toon. If you had a time machine where you can go back in time and space anywhere just to observe something that happened, so it could be to see what killed off the dinosaurs, confirm that for ourselves, or it could be to see what the universe looked like moments after the Big Bang, right? Rules are you can't interact, right? So you don't get to kill Hitler as a child or anything like that. Where would you go, time and place?
And I can just float around there completely unseen and just observe. I would probably, and again, this ties into what I do on YouTube, I would go right back to the beginning so that then I can say, yes, that's exactly how the universe and the earth formed. I was there, mate. I saw it happen. It would be nice to, because I often have this thought. I was watching something, a box set last night, and it's very confusing. It's called Bodies. And there's basically been a murder, but the murder has happened exactly the same in 4 different time periods: 1892, 1942, 2022, and 2052. And I quite often have these thoughts, fear of missing out, if you like. What are things gonna look like in even in 100 years, because we've come so far in the last 100 years, it's difficult, I think, to be able to even sort of imagine what the future holds for us, and what I'll miss, because in realistic terms, I'm 50 years old. I'm 51 in 10 days, so I'm well past the halfway mark of my life. Based on the laws of averages, what have I got left? Another 25, 30 years if I'm lucky and if I look after myself. But I would flip that question. I think I'd have more of an interest in going into the future than the past to see where we're heading.
Interesting. You're the first person to answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That's
Because
cool.
I'm very interested in somebody asked me once, if I didn't do this on YouTube, what other thing would you do? And I think it would be tech, because I'm a huge Google fanboy, Pixel 7 Pro. I'm saving up to buy a Pixel Fold. I've got a Pixel Watch. I've got Google Assistant in every single room in my house. I've got Google cameras all over the house. I want to imagine that in 10 years' time, Google Assistant will be as good as, if not better than, Jarvis from the Iron Man movies. And I think it would be fascinating to be able to jump forward 100 years, 200 years and see, will there be flying cars? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think there will, because pollution. Or am I wrong and there will be flying cars and everything will be electric? I would have more of an interest in going that way than that way.
Cool. Good answer. I like that. Do you see flat Earth, young Earth creationism being a thing 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 200 years from now, right? I know your channel is evolving and you're covering things other than flat Earth, but do you see, are there going to be flat Earthers in 2050?
Possibly, but if there are, they will all, without exception, be liars, because we are on the. If you're rich enough, you can go up into space now,
right?
But space travel's gonna become more and more affordable. This is the thing with flat earthers. Some of them are, the flat Earth community is huge. Why doesn't one of Flat Earth Dave or Mark Sargent? They would be my two choices. Crowdfund a ticket and go up and see for yourself that the Earth isn't flat. But they won't do that, will they? The same way, and Mike mentioned this again. Sorry to keep referring to MC Toon, but he did it, and I also did it. Mark Sargent asked for photographic evidence taken from the cockpit of a plane that showed Earth curve. Mike made a video. I made the video. And the reply I had off Mark Sargent was, nah, literally. He sent me an email with no subject. And I opened the email, no attachment, no nothing. I thought he was going to try and send me. And he had written, nah. What?
So when I had a similar conversation with Mike, he said you could send a flat earther up to space and show them the curve out the window of a spaceship, and they would say, how do I know the window is not a screen, it's not a monitor, and you're faking that? Like, there's no convincing them, in his opinion.
No, exactly. And that is because they are all liars. 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Certainly Mark Sargent and Flat Earth Dave, anyway. I know there would be some exceptions like CC.
Yes.
But you're right. They would say, oh yeah, but how do I know it wasn't a video screen? How do I know that I wasn't drugged and that they just flew me out into the desert and did whatever? Do you know what I mean? They would find a workaround for being stood in a space vehicle, looking down and going, yep, there it is. Definitely a globe. But they would still have to find a way to explain that away from what they've convinced themselves that they believe.
We can touch on something else that's popular in culture today, which is of course AI. And I don't know if you use ChatGPT. I mean, you said you're a big tech guy. You're into Google.
I love AI.
Do you see ChatGPT and that type of AI impacting people's perception of facts, right?
Um,
Because it's so dangerous. You can ask ChatGPT to write you 50 articles, blog posts on why the Earth is flat, right?
yeah.
And it'll do it, and then you can just publish those to the internet. Do you see that being a problem going forward as AI evolves?
ChatGPT will not write the blog post that says the Earth is flat.
It won't.
Nope.
Well, okay, maybe not the Earth is
Do
flat,
you want
but
to know how I know?
you've asked it.
Yeah. And it
Okay,
won't.
well, I'm glad you corrected me on that.
It just says, I can't remember the exact phrase, and unless, of course, I'm wrong. Let me ChatGPT, because I've always got chat.
That's interesting. I use that as an example.
Right.
I meant what I'm trying to say is you can ask it to write you information that is incorrect.
No, it won't do that. It'll only. So this is what it's spitting out. I said, can you write me a blog post explaining why the Earth is flat?
What'd you get?
And it says, flat Earth theory, while it's a topic that generates a lot of discussion, it's important to note that the overwhelming scientific consensus supports the idea that the Earth is an oblate spheroid, not flat. However, I can certainly write a blog post that explores flat Earth theory, its history, and why it's been debunked by modern science. Would you like me to go ahead with that? So,
oh wow,
we were both kind of right, if you like. So it would do it, but it would be doing it tongue in cheek.
Sure. Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds like there's some safeguards in place.
I suppose it depends on. So with ChatGPT, obviously I don't know how much you know about it or how much you use it, but I got the paid version so that I can have add-ons and everything. So I've got things like Scholar AI, which when you ask it a question, if you have that activated, it literally searches through every single scientific paper on that topic that's been uploaded to the internet. But even because I'll use ChatGPT to help me explain things as well, and you can't rely on it 100% yet.
No,
because it does make mistakes. It does make mistakes, but some of the uses I found for it that they're time savers. Given what I do is when I have a sponsor, when a sponsor reaches out, I'm signed to a management company, so I don't go looking for brand deals or anything. I've got a brand manager, and he will send me an email saying, Creaky, I don't know, Surfshark wants to sponsor a couple of videos. Yeah, no problem. This is the rate, and so we do all that good stuff. Right. And then they will send me a PDF brief. So I put that brief in. I copy all the text from that brief, put it into ChatGPT, and I type, "Can you write me a 60-second ad copy for the information included?" So whenever you see me read an ad in one of my videos, it's been written by ChatGPT. And I've told my management company that that's what I do, and they said we don't care. But because I've been using ChatGPT for quite a while, I literally started using it the week it was released to the public. Wow. Because it's tech and new tech. It's I'm so excited. I gotta play with this and use it, and it learns. So it knows who I am. It calls me Creaky. Wow. I can say to it, can you, so what I do, I will import that PDF and I'll say, can you write me 60 or 90 seconds, 60 seconds, whatever it needs to be, in the style of the Creaky Blinder. And it writes it almost 9 out of 10 times. I don't even need to make any revisions to it. It will generate a script for an ad read that nobody would think I hadn't sat down and written myself.
Right. Yeah, nuts. That's amazing. You can ask it, okay, write me something in the style of Isaac Asimov or Edgar Allan Poe or Shakespeare and yourself. It's incredible.
Absolutely anything. Absolutely. It was funny though, because at the beginning when I used to ask it that, it would say, and I've tried looking, but I don't think it is, but I would ask it because it always amuses me. And I know this is slightly off topic, but if you go onto Google or YouTube, the two biggest search engines in the world, and start typing in Creaky Blinder, it comes up with a Creaky Blinder net worth, because I must be rich because I'm a YouTuber. I wish I was, but sorry, I'm not. Creaky Blinder address, which is a bit worrying. So it's net worth, address, and there's a couple of others that I can't remember. So it was when I would ask it who I was, what can you tell me about the YouTuber Creaky Blinder? It like invented catchphrases, and it's like, I've never said that. But it was also saying the subscriber number was off, and it was saying that I was English, which was hugely insulting. So I went looking to see if there was another channel called Creaky Blinder, but there isn't. So I don't know. It's not a perfect system yet, but I think it's got the potential because Google made an announcement the middle of last month where they are integrating Bard AI, which is Google's equivalent of ChatGPT, into Google Assistant, making it more conversational.
I didn't realize you were such a tech guy, Creaky, but now that I know you are, I want to know.
Nerd, honestly, with this sort of stuff. I could literally keep you talking here now for another 4 hours.
I want to know your opinion then on the existential risk that AI poses. I'm a big, I listen to people like Sam Harris and Elon Musk and other people who are extraordinarily concerned that, look, we've got narrow AI. It's better than us at chess and Go and arithmetic, right? It's superhuman.
Yeah.
What happens when it's better than us and everything, and we're in the presence of this God, essentially? Is it as dangerous as nuclear war?
Right. It's already better than we are already. And this is just my opinion. I can't think of a question I've asked it that and when I say a question, I don't mean things like who is the Creaky Blinder or who is MC2. I'm not talking about that sort of stuff. I'm talking about, if I ask it, so if I'm making a video about a flat earth and there's something, I think, shit, I know that's wrong, but I'm not quite certain why. And I ask ChatGPT, it gives me an answer, and then I go off on my merry way then, and I start doing a bit of research, send it to the PhD who I'm in contact with, who kind of helps me in the background on my videos. And I'll search through the sources I always use online. And it's never been wrong. Ever. It's a bit convoluted sometimes. It over-explains. But I've learned recently, and this fits, I'm giving away all my secrets here, and this fits in with my presentation style. So you would say something along the lines of, explain to me how we know the exact distance from Earth to the moon in language that a 10-year-old child would understand. Because then it's very sort of palatable for people like me. I make my content so that I can understand it. Sometimes, for example, Simon Dan will say things in his videos, and I'm sitting there and thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. But then when I look at it for myself, it's like, right. Well, why didn't you just say that then? But Dan's presentation style is very very sort of, I can't think of the word I want to use, but I like to think that the information I share is accurate, but it's accurate in the way I choose to share that information. Dan's is very academic in explanation, if that makes sense. And sometimes that doesn't translate into my brain. But then when I look it up, that's what I would have said as well, but I would have said it like this. And what I found is by asking ChatGPT for the answer in language that a child would understand, it makes it very easy to be able to explain and still retain all the important points without pretending. Because what I definitely have never wanted to do, and I never will want, I don't want to pretend to be something I'm not. And if I suddenly started giving out information and people are listening to me and thinking, bloody hell, when did Creaky turn into Stephen Hawking's long lost son?
Yeah.
Because I could easily do that. I've got a teleprompter on my camera. I can do it quite easily, but I would be lying to everyone that watches me. And that's not what I'm about.
You're not an actor.
This is who I am. This is what I say. Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Am I or aren't I?
Or
You know what I mean? It's this is who I am. This is how I say things. If you like what I do, brilliant. Hit the subscribe button and watch. If you don't, if you want a more sciencey way of explaining things, then go and watch Simon Dan's channel because he'll give you that sciencey explanation.
Well, I have a feeling you have a lot of overlap in your audience with Simon Dan.
Oh yeah, most definitely,
Me
most
included.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I like to think that your audience as well is rather sophisticated of
Mm,
understanding. What do you mean?
do you know what it right? So I've been asked this before. So the people I think that watch me and Dan and MC Toon fight the flat Earth, all of us, right? They're all interested. You're all interested in science as a whole. And I'm massively interested in science. I absolutely love it. But Simon Dan, Fight the Flat Earth, MC2, none of them are making wiener jokes or do you know what I mean? And I think that that's kind of become my way, should I say, of compensating for my lack of intelligence. It's just the way I like to do it. And I think nobody has ever come to me and said in the comment section, Creaky, that this video just delete everything was wrong. That's never happened. But I can still present what to some people, me included, is complicated physics while still making wiener jokes and putting a big fat ass on the screen every time I say the word but and all these little things that have become what people expect from me. But you've then got to be careful not to become, as I said earlier on in the interview, a caricature of yourself, which is what somebody like Kent Hovind has done. So if I overdo it too much, it would get annoying. But I've got a childish sense of humor. What can I say? There's nothing funnier than if somebody accidentally farts while they're being interviewed. It's brilliant. It's the funniest thing in the world.
I think that's one of the things that sets you apart, Creaky, is your sense of humor. Why make that first video more than 5 years ago? And why make 500 more since then?
I ask myself that question all the time. I basically bought this camera and I just wanted to do something with the camera. I've been on YouTube before multiple times and I've never been able to make it work. All those channels are long deleted. I did e-cigarette reviews in the early days of when I had the vape shop. Just didn't work. I couldn't gain any traction. And then the adpocalypse happened and vaping was evil, so you couldn't monetize it. My family and I vlogged every day for a year just to see if we could do it. Again, never got beyond sort of 300 or 400 subscribers. I think for a vlogging channel to work, you've got to have something really special to offer people, and we obviously didn't. So I set up the Creaky Blinder channel just as like a placeholder so that I had somewhere completely new to upload whatever I decided to record. So I started playing around with I've always been interested in watching commentary videos, and I've always had a big mouth and lots to say. So I joined a Facebook group, which was kind of a how to be a YouTuber. And I was in this Facebook group one day, and there was a lady in there called Pam Duffy, who still watches me to this day. And she mentioned this guy called Simon Dan, and it was like, I can't believe it. It's a really new channel, and he's absolutely blowing up. Well, what it was when the Gate video went viral for him, and he saw that tremendous amount of growth. So the first Simon Dan video I clicked on wasn't even Simon Dan in it. It was Conspiracy Cats. And that's who I thought Simon Dan was initially. But I watched a few more videos and I just came away feeling kind of deflated and wishing that I was smart enough to do the same sort of thing. But I carried on in this Facebook group. I carried on watching Dan's videos, and I found Fight the Flat Earth and a few. I can't remember the others, but I remember finding Craig. And I thought, well, there's always more than one way to skin a cat. So I just had a go. So I went on YouTube, searched for Flat Earth, and I found a Nathan Thompson video.
Yes.
And I gave it a go, basically. Now, I've actually reacted to my own first video. It was that bad. At the time, I still owned my sign shop. And kind of in between work, I would sit down and record little segments to the video, because that first video took me like 2 weeks to make, because I literally did not have a clue what I was doing or saying. But I was of the opinion that an opinion from somebody who doesn't have the relevant scientific qualifications, if you like, can potentially be just as interesting to watch and just as relevant as somebody who's debunking these people using physics and biology or whatever, whatever else we use to debunk them.
Yeah.
And Conspiracy Cats sent me a message. He said, "Oh, I've just seen your video. It's brilliant. I think your channel's going to do real." So I was like, "Oh yeah, look at me. I'm so cool." And Katz asked me would I like to do a video with him. But in between that happening, Craig, Fight the Flat Earth, reached out to me and asked me to do a collaboration video with him. And of course, I was so excited about it. He had 2,500 subscribers at the time, which to me was an insane amount of people watching just some random guy on the internet. So I said yes. We did the video. And that was just before Christmas in 2018. And I can remember being in my parents' house on Christmas Eve, and I had hit 1,000 subscribers, and I thought I was like the king of YouTube. I couldn't believe that 1,000 people were actually interested enough in what I was saying in my video to hit the subscribe button. So I just kept going from there. And I've collaborated with other people. I've done videos with Sursec.
Yeah.
I've got so many different people. I've got the worst memory in the world. But what really changed my channel for me was Simon Dan. And I'll never live this next part down. I did a live stream with Dan a couple of years ago, and the question was, who was the first person to guest host an episode of Tinfoil Tuesday? And of course, me being an idiot said Conspiracy Cats, but of course it was me, so I've never lived that down. And I was away on holiday with my wife. We were in Spain on just like a week's vacation. And on the day we were flying back, I think I was on about 8,500 subscribers. So Dan published the video as my flight was taking off. And when I landed in the UK, I had jumped up to 15,000 subscribers.
Whoa.
And it just sort of went from there. I was
one of those subscribers, by the way.
Oh, yeah. It's really strange to me, because I've got this... I don't know the best way to explain it, but, I know that Fight the Flat Earth, for example, he's comfortable calling the people that watch him fans, but I can't get myself comfortable. I just refer to the people that watch my content as the people who watch my content. I'm just me. I'm 50 years old. I'm probably the oldest out of all the debunkers, but I don't consider myself to be a debunker either. All I'm doing is sharing my opinion. And over time, over the last 5 years, because as you said, I started I think my first video went live in September 2018. I think that was my first Flat Earth video. There were a couple of videos prior to that, but it was just me kind of testing the waters to see what may or may not work, and none of it did until I made that Flat Earth video. But I forgot, I left this part out, and this was probably an important part. It's actually Flat Earthers' fault that I'm still doing what I do, because that very first Flat Earth video, the reason Conspiracy Cats saw it is because Nathan Thompson's Flat Earth Facebook group picked the video up. So I got a load of hate comments on that video from flat earthers, but that was my introduction, if you like, into the flat earth debunking community. And like I say, 5 years later, I'm still, still doing it. There's other topics I look at as well. And what I'm trying to do at the moment is throw in some, kind of completely off-topic videos, like the vampire girl from TikTok the other day. They don't do as well as the flat earth videos, but I'm of the opinion that in order for me to continue to grow and to see the results I personally would like to see from my channel, I need to, start fishing with a bigger net.
Do you see yourself still doing YouTube in 5 years?
I think so, yeah. I think so. The thing is, right, and I'll try to keep this answer as brief as I can, but I still can't believe that this is my job.
Yeah.
Because I've tried doing it so many times before and it's never worked. And then suddenly I did something that I never talked about before and people got a kick out of watching it and people keep subscribing, my phone, every single time I open the YouTube Studio app, my subscriber count has gone up every time without fail. Sometimes it's only by 2.
Right.
But as long as I continue to see that, I'm trying to kind of get myself in the mindset that this is a marathon, not a sprint. I've been saying for the last 2 years, I'll definitely hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2020. I meant 2021. Actually, we'll shoot for 2022. But every year I'm pushing myself to make the best content I can make. And every single time I upload a video, I'm hoping some people will say they don't think like this. And I'm not saying those people aren't being honest with themselves, but every single video I upload, I've got my fingers and toes crossed that that video is going to be my gate video and it's going to propel me forward. Hasn't happened yet, but, there's videos going viral on YouTube. There's one video, advice from an old man. It's a guy, he's got to be 70 years old. He uploaded the video 12 years ago. And suddenly now his video's got like 35 million views in the space of like 6 months. So wow. we live in hope. But I think you've got to mix that with the desire to do it, the self-discipline to do it, because not everybody can work for themselves.
Yeah.
Not everybody can lock themselves in a 4 meter by 3 meter jail cell every single day for 12 hours, 7 days a week. I never take any time off. And then I get to a point where it's like, I hate this. I hate everything. I'm going to Spain for a week. And I don't even want to look at my phone then. So I'm probably my own worst enemy there. But yes, I will still be doing YouTube in 5 years. Hopefully. You just don't know. You name me one other job where you have to get up in the morning and the first thing you do is check you've still got a job. Because that's what it feels like. If I woke up tomorrow morning and my channel had been demonetized, I'm under 100,000 subscribers. I've got no way of getting in touch with a real person at YouTube. So I can't even ask anyone for help. So if I wake up tomorrow morning, I could potentially have lost every part of my ability to provide for my family.
That's scary. That's really scary.
Yeah, and that's the worst part about YouTube.
I've never heard it put that way. Dude, I'm just starting out, about to hit 500 subscribers, and
the way I explain it is, imagine, obviously I don't know what you do for a living, but if when you woke up in the morning, the first thing you had to do was ring your boss up and say, right, I'll be in at 9 to start my shift. Am I going to be paid for this shift, or are you unsure? That's kind of what it feels like. You'd still have to go to work and do your job, but then it would be for no money.
I'm just doing this on YouTube to increase, to speak to people like you, to speak to interesting people that I'm a fan of. Every person I speak with, it's like, I wish they had more content like this out there to where I get to know, I want to get to know you.
Yeah.
And no one is as far as I
Yeah.
know, done this type of interview with you.
No,
So
no.
I'm hoping that your fans will appreciate this.
It's nice to have conversations like this because people think they know me, but I, they don't. They
Yeah,
don't know what I'm like. They really don't know what I'm like. They just make the assumption that what they see in the videos is what I'm like. And it sort of is, but in the videos, it's massively exaggerated. You know, I'm sure you can see a difference right now, just
100%.
having this conversation. You know, if I was doing this in video style, I'd be answering the questions and I'd
There
be
he is.
screaming into the microphone. What the fucking hell are you talking about?
There he is.
I don't speak to people like that. Well, I don't speak to people all the time like that, but you've got to. I read something that said you've got to exaggerate yourself twofold to come across well on camera. This is a different thing, but the way I present my videos, my wife has come running in. Well, everything all right? Everything? Oh, I could hear you shouting. Oh yeah, I'm just making a video and this guy's a knob, so I was screaming at the camera.
Having watched some of your older videos, it gives me a little peek behind the curtain as to, you know, what you're actually like. Because if you go back to your original videos, you're much how you are now, right? But you make to make the videos more entertaining.
You know what a big part of that was, though? And feel free to tell me to shut up at any time, right? But when I first started off, obviously, I was recording all my videos from my office in my sign shop. So I was always kind of watching out of the corner of my eye. Oh, if somebody comes in, I'll feel stupid now. And then they'll ask me what I'm doing and I'll have to explain. And then when I stopped recording in my office and started recording in a spare bedroom in the house that we lived in before we moved here, I was having to speak in this kind of tone because I didn't want to disturb, you know, the other people that live in the house with me. But when we moved here and I had this studio purpose built, I can shout and scream and do anything I want because it's all soundproofed anyway. You know, I invested a considerable amount of money in building this studio so that I could literally go nuts. I know it sounds like a silly thing to say because everyone can see because the backdrop changed. But if you watch my last video that I filmed in the house that we lived in before this, and then watched, say, my first 5 videos where I was in this studio, over those 5 videos, I get louder and louder and louder until in the end, I'm all the way back here. I'm screaming at the camera because I now can, because I'm not going to disturb anyone or piss anyone off. Working in this room has given me the freedom to go nuts. And I'm kind of glad you didn't ask this question, so I'll just skirt around it. But I haven't live streamed this year. I will get back to live streaming eventually, but it'll be when I'm ready to get back to live stream. That's an announcement from me officially. I'll be back live when I'm ready to go back live.
All right. Look, I'll be in the audience when you finally come back to live streaming.
Awesome.
I'll say what's up. Look, I've said this is the last question about 20 questions ago.
Honestly, it's fine, mate. Honestly.
Okay. Have you ever been to the US and have any interest in coming to US? And what would you like to see when you come?
I was in the United States of America in February this year.
Oh, no way. Where'd you visit?
New Jersey. I stayed with one of my subscribers.
No kidding.
Yeah. Christopher Shapley, DVM CVA, everybody's favorite American veterinarian. Yeah, we sort of became acquaintances and we started talking and we just sort of developed a friendship. And I'd always wanted to come to America, and I'd never had the means to do it. And we'd been saving up for a very long time. And I was speaking to Chris and I said, I want to come to America next year, meaning 2023. And I said, where shall I go? And he said, come and stay with me. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know. It's one thing to talk on, on Zoom calls. But we flew over there. He picked us up from the airport and he gave us his home. gave up his bed for my wife and I. He slept on a fold-out bed in his office, and we stayed with him for 2 weeks, and it was awesome.
Wow.
And I know it's weird because people say, "Oh, why the hell did you go to Jersey?" Well, for one, that's where Chris lives, and he was kind enough to, let me stay. We went and visited New York. We went to Atlantic City. We hired a car, and we just used to get up. Chris took a few days off work, and then after those few days off, we were just left to our own devices. So we would just get up in the morning, go and jump in our hire car, go on Google, look for somewhere cool that we thought looked cool, put it in the sat nav, off we went. And that's what we did every day. And I loved it out there. It's the first place I've ever visited that I genuinely, and I felt like this within days of being there, that I thought I could live here. Yeah. The people were so friendly. New York was a bit nuts, right? We went to I've forgotten the name. Not Liberty Island. We were on the New Jersey side, looking over the Hudson, so we could see
Hoboken.
Yes, or Hobonkin, as I was mistakenly calling it. Yeah, nice. So it was in that area, and it was starting to get dark, and I was a little bit, right, we need to go to America,
Nah.
And we ended up, I don't know. Chris did tell me. But we ended up, it was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. It was dark. It was what I found. So in the UK, if you're in a good area and then you drive into a bad area, now they're not signposted as bad areas, but you can kind of tell there's a sort of vibe. In America, I couldn't tell the difference. And Chris said, you were so lucky you didn't get pulled out of that car and robbed. He said, New Yorkers don't go into that part of New York. And I was driving around in a purple hire car at like 10 o'clock in the night. I loved it out there. And I definitely want to come back to America again. It was funny when I was in New York, every time I saw a guy with grey hair, I was like, oh shit, that's not CC, is it?
I think CC lives in Westchester County, is a bit in upstate New York.
Yeah, it is. It was well away from where we were. Like I say, we were in New Jersey and New York City, Atlantic City.
Right.
But, no, I loved it out there. Absolutely loved it.
That's cool. I'm glad to hear it. Would you recommend visiting Wales? What's it?
Yeah, it's Wales is it's a funny place because it almost gets forgotten about. When most Americans, when we were in America ourselves, and of course, just because we were in America, we were going to a diner every morning to have breakfast. No, sure. Just because we could, because it's an American thing to do. But it certainly was in Jersey. And nobody, and I mean nobody, said, oh, you're from Wales. Everybody thought I was Scottish or English. And it's like, Wales? Wait. Somebody said to me, this is so off topic and stupid, but I've got to say it, right? Because I nearly peed my pants in a convenience store. So we were in this convenience store. I think we were buying a bottle of wine or whatever it was. We were going to sit down in the evening and have a glass of wine. And the girl working on the register said, oh, that's an interesting accent. I said, yeah, I'm Welsh. And she said, oh, where the grape juice comes from. And I was
like, the Welsh is grape juice.
I said, no, that's Welsh. I'm Welsh. It's like, what the hell? But no, I love America. Absolutely love it.
I'm glad to hear that. That's cool. Me too. Yeah, once again, thanks, Creaky. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it myself as well.